Ostend Manifesto, late 1850s. 3 American ambassadors in Europe got together and wrote an open letter to what country? Spain. And they said, give us Cuba. Cuba would be better off in our hands. Thank you, give it to us. There was a great fear amongst Northerners that the South would acquire Cuba as a territory, the United States would acquire it as a territory, and that the South would engineer that it would be divided into as many as 5 states. Okay, Cuba from tip to tip is something like, I don't know, a couple hundred miles. At its widest, Cuba is 120 miles. And normally it averages about 60 miles width. It's a very small little island. But there was real concern that it would be upwards of 5 states. 1850s sectionalism debate. What were the issues? Well, obviously slavery and the spread of slavery. Where can slavery exist? The issue of taxes. Who has the right to impose taxes? Is it just the state? Is the state and federal government? How much should those taxes be? Southerners in general oppose them. The issue of immigration. Southerners saw all these immigrants coming into the North, giving the North more political power, more votes in the House of Representatives, taking votes away from them. Anything else you can think of? The expansion of the United States. Once again, that's an issue because you have the problem of free states versus slave states, population growing in the North, that type of thing. John Brown, a Northerner who was a zealot, felt he was born on this and put on this earth to get rid of slavery. At Pottawatomie Creek, he's part of Bleeding, Kansas. He and some of his sons and a couple of other followers go to Pottawatomie Creek, which was a pro-slavery community. They pull some guys out of their houses, none of whom even owned a slave, just happened to be pro-slavery, and they hacked them to death with a broadsword, which John Brown had sharpened himself lovingly. John Brown and his family go into hiding. They go back to New England, where John Brown begins to plot the ultimate slave rebellion, which his idea is he's going to take over a federal arsenal in the South, which he eventually does at Harper's Ferry. Okay, he's going to take over this arsenal and put out the word to slaves: come, grab a weapon, kill a white person, get rid of slavery in the South, and we'll make Virginia a black state. Everybody in Virginia will be black. So he goes to Harper's Ferry, and very quickly the townspeople force him into one building on the arsenal, which is the firehouse. He's under siege. The army sends out troops to help. They send at the head of those troops, this is one of those historical ironies, Colonel Robert E. Lee. Brown is forced to give up after several of his followers are killed, including one of his sons. And he's put on trial against the state of Virginia for treason. His friends and family want him to plead insanity because he was no bigger than a fruitcake, let's be honest about this, okay? He refuses, because he's not insane enough, he refuses to plead insanity because he knows that his value to die as a martyr is extensive. So he's found guilty and he hangs for treason. And in the North, they treat him like he was the second coming of Jesus. There are pictures of him up on a cross with slave women crying down below, like the famous painting of Jesus on the cross. They sing songs like John Brown's body lies smoldering in the grave, type of thing. They write poems. Thoreau or Emerson, I think it was Emerson, gave the eulogy at his funeral. I mean, they make him into this major popular hero. On the other hand, how did the South see John Brown? They see him as a really scary individual who's fomenting rebellion amongst slaves, urging them to kill white people, making martyr out of him, all those kinds of things. Yes? Okay. Republican platform of 1860. What was the platform regarding slavery? No expansion of slavery, contain slavery, whatever word you want to use, okay? Slavery exists in 15 states. It can stay in those 15 states. The hope is it will die out fairly soon, but we're not going to allow it into the new state of Colorado or whatever, okay? A Homestead Act. The Republicans were big on giving away free land in Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming, etc. The Northern Pacific Railroad. The Republican Party was made up almost entirely of people from the North. So they wanted to build a Union Pacific Railroad from coast to coast, and for them it was going to go from New York to San Francisco. It was not going to go from Savannah to LA or San Diego, wherever. The Republican Party was founded on the principle of what regarding slavery, and the choice would be no expansion. The 1860 election, 4 candidates. The Republican candidate is Lincoln. We've just talked about his platform. No expansion of slavery, a Homestead Act, a Union Pacific Railroad Act. The second candidate is the Northern, if you will, Democrats. The Democrats couldn't come up with one candidate, so Southern Democrats eventually nominate one guy, Northern Democrats nominate the other. So the Northern Democratic candidate was Stephen Douglas. His platform regarding slavery is popular sovereignty. His second platform issue really is a vote for Lincoln is a vote for disunion, meaning that if you vote for Mr. Lincoln and he wins, the South is going to leave the Union. So vote for me, Stephen Douglas. The Southern Democratic candidate is a guy named John, Scheme, Breckenridge. Breckenridge is a ski resort in Colorado. I guess that doesn't mean anything to any of you. All right, don't think skiing. Anyway, John Breckenridge, his platform regarding slavery was keep it everywhere. Slavery should be allowed everywhere, any place, any time, forever and ever and ever. Amen. He also talked about a vote for Lincoln was a vote for disunion. So vote for me, John Breckenridge. The fourth candidate is the Constitutional Union Party. His name was John Bell. And their platform was do whatever it takes to keep the Union together. That means expansion of slavery, allow expansion. If it means no more expansion of slavery, then don't allow expansion of slavery. But keep the Union together. Who won? Lincoln. By how much? Well, the popular vote is fairly close. Lincoln actually gets less than 40% of the popular vote. Douglas does pretty well. Electoral vote-wise, Lincoln blows everyone out of the water. He carries enough votes, or those northern states, that he takes all the northern states for the most part. Do you see a couple of terms down, Lincoln elected without what? Any Southern electoral vote. Not one Southern electoral vote went to Lincoln. It was divided between Breckenridge and Bell, with Breckenridge getting most of it. So what does this election say to Southerners? You have no political power. Okay? We can basically do what we want as Northerners. You have no political power. Look what we just did in this election. Okay? Lincoln's policy on slavery in 1860, no expansion or retain it. The effect of Lincoln's election, the secession of the South. They realized that they had no political power, that there were many, you know how like there's been that stupid birther movement in this country where people really believe that Obama isn't a natural born citizen. People believed in 1860 that Lincoln was going to do away with slavery. Even though he kept saying speech after speech after speech, no expansion of slavery, there was that element who were the doomsayers, the doom and gloom people going, oh, he's going to do away with slavery, and people believed it. Okay?